All right, let's begin our experiment in embodied learning. We're going to use an exercise that was developed by Rick Hanson, who is a neuroscientist studying neuroplasticity. And what he has found is that our neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to create new links, abandon old links, basically create new networks of association in our brain, that ability can actually be tapped through mindfulness and meditation practices. In other words, through our own practice in mindfulness or meditation type exercises, we can strengthen our neural pathways. We can help make new connections in our neural pathways. In other words, through embodied mindfulness meditation exercises, we can create a change in our neurobiology. So while I make no promises that you will change your neurobiology today, let's run the experiment and see what his exercise is like. So first, I invite you to just check in with your body. I just gave a lot of information. I told you something that's coming next. We're going to meditate. We're going to experiment. We're going to do some neuroplasticity thing. So just take a moment, check in with your body. How are you feeling about this prospect of doing this activity? You can take a breath. You can check in with your torso. Or you can check in with the contact your seat is making with the chair below you. I invite you to do that now. We're asking ourselves the question, how does it feel to go into a new learning experience in my body? How does that feel? All right, so now we'll begin the Rick Hanson portion of this exercise. We'll begin with his method. So you've already done some of the pre-work for this. I want you to recall the memory that you were engaging with at the beginning of this presentation. The memory of a positive learning experience. And I invite you to use your memory to recall not just the ideas of that time, but to recall also the sensations in your body. This may be difficult to do. That's fine. This is an experiment. You can recall the sights, the sounds, but also perhaps there was a warmth or comfort in the torso. Perhaps there was excitement and tension in the muscles, or maybe there was relax and ease in the muscles. Perhaps there was an openness as opposed to a closedness. I invite you to take on the posture that comes to mind as you are remembering this experience, remembering the body of this experience. And again, it's okay if the sensations do not come immediately back to the body. We're just taking time to have the experience of this memory and have the experience in as rich and robust a way as possible. Now we're going to work on enriching this memory. But more so than enriching the memory, we're enriching our current present moment experience of having this memory. So how do we enrich the experience? We're going to go into the details yet further. We're going to take a little bit more time to feel, is there that warmth in my body? Is there that expansion in my posture? Maybe an opening in my chest? Maybe an excitement, an energy in my fingers and my arms and my legs? Maybe a calm and an ease? Maybe a leaning back on my chair? I'm listing possibilities, but without knowing your experience, please do not feel that what I'm listing is what you are supposed to be feeling. Whatever is coming up in this memory is perfect. And our job is to enrich having the memory by finding where the memory is anchored in our body. There may be a distraction emerging or a tension emerging around, am I doing this right? Am I getting the activity right? And I give you permission. You do not have to do this activity right. We are in the laboratory. We are experimenting. So anytime that thought or that perhaps tickle in your chest comes up, I just invite you to turn back to that memory of, I know what a positive learning experience feels like. Let me remember what that feels like. And go back into that embodied experience of that memory. Finally, we are going to absorb this embodied experience of this memory, this embodied experience which we are having right now. We are activating this embodied experience right now. While we're using a memory, we are actually engaging in the present moment with real world lived content of the bodily experience. So to absorb is very simple. We're just going to sit here and take it in for a period of time. Again, as distractions or tensions come up around, am I doing this right? Just turn back into the body and invite that memory back in. Sometimes it can help as a physical cue to ourselves, if it feels natural, to just put a little smile, tiny little smile on your face, if it feels natural. So we'll take a couple breaths absorbing this experience. Now, a fourth and optional step in this exercise is to work to create that link, that neural pathway of this positive memory, this positive embodied experience, and actually link it to related experiences that are more uncomfortable or perhaps challenging or stressful. This is an optional part of this exercise. I encourage you to explore it and lean in. However, if this exercise has not been enjoyable, then we don't want you to link a unpleasant experience to another unpleasant experience, because that would just be reinforcing unpleasant memories and neural pathways in your mind. So that might be learning, but it's not the learning that we want you to have in this space during this presentation. So that is just a caveat. If this has been a stressful experience for you or activating in any way, that's totally fine, and that can definitely come up for many of us when we take the time to be in our body or recall memories. Things happen based on the associations that we may have in this moment or in our lives. So if that's the case for you, I invite you to rest in stillness. You can also do some quiet alternate tapping, not to disturb others around you, but this is a regulating activity in many therapeutic modalities. So you can just relax and do some tapping, maybe on your knees, or do whatever fidgeting feels good or daydreaming feels good for you. But for those of you who did have a pleasant experience in having the memory, enhancing the memory, and absorbing the memory, I really encourage you to try this next step. It's called linking. And I just want you to, while holding this embodied experience, maybe that warmth in your chest, maybe that slight smile on your face, or the open posture, the sense of ease, whatever it is, while sort of maintaining that embodied orientation, I invite you to think of a time, a learning experience that was maybe a little bit more stressful or challenging. This doesn't have to be like the worst experience you ever had, right? Let's start smaller and more reasonable. Just recall a time maybe you were not feeling very opened to a learning experience. Bring that to memory. And maybe as you bring that memory and you're noticing a shift in your body and your energy, maybe not. Either way, what we're going to do is just hold as best we can the embodied experience of the positive learning experience, and know, I can have this memory, but I also have this positive experience as a resource. We're not trying to change the negative memory. We're not trying to undo it. We're just recognizing, I can remember that, and I can also at the same time have in my body this sense of safety, of ease, and well-being. So we'll just take a couple breaths on that experiment of linking. I'm going to pass it over to live Sarah and live Marielle to conclude the activity.